Hi there, I'm so glad that you're here. This video, I want to help you just really get started with Claude AI. So many founders and so many small business owners, one, you're already overwhelmed. There's a lot that you're dealing with, and now you have AI to tackle. You know, it's like having to learn or having to be fluent in a language that you've never learned. And so I just want to help you get started very quickly, just based on conversations that I've had where I see people getting stuck. And so that's what I'm going to address in this video. I have my notes here, and so I'm going to kind of be going back and forth, but just want you to know, let's lock in so you can know how to get started with Claude AI. So the first thing that I see, people are trying to use Claude like a new version of Google search. And so that's like having a Harvard level graduate at your fingertips, but you're using them to go pick up your Starbucks or to go pick up your laundry. So let's just talk quickly about the difference between what Claude is versus what a Google search is. So a Google search is basically you put in a key term. Let's say you're looking for, how can I create a business plan, or how can I update my workflows? And so through a Google search, you're going to get an entire listing of thousands of responses and results for that specific term. And so the difference between having a long list of potential responses and now leveraging Claude is that one is interactive, where it's going to leverage the context of the question in relationship with the history of what you've already spoken with Claude, versus the listing, which is going to give you probably thousands of results. And so that's basically the difference of using Claude and using a Google search. One is going to be interactive problem solving, and one is just going to be a full list of responses and results. And so it's like maybe your answer is on page 100, right? Instead of you literally have to go and search for it, versus having a conversation with someone who's already positioned to answer your question. So I hope that helps. That's the difference between leveraging AI and using Claude versus just a simple Google search. And that's a question that I get a lot, especially from very established business owners, but they feel like they're non-technical, so they don't understand the difference. So just want to kind of give you that basic idea. Also, if you're leveraging something like Claude for what could be a very simple search, it's also going to be very expensive. Now with the price of tokens increasing, so we're being charged more to leverage these tools, which is fair. They're doing a lot for us, but you just want to make sure that you're leveraging something like Claude for intentional and value-driven work, not something that you could simply find on Google, right? So hope that's helpful. Think about it where you have Claude as your high-level Harvard graduate, someone who has 10 plus years of experience. How would you leverage that resource? It wouldn't be for simple tasks like getting your laundry or grabbing some Starbucks. So just kind of going back into the idea of Claude as an intelligent chat feature. That's the foundation. It's really about chatting. It's the same way that you would communicate with Siri or one of the other tools that you're used to using. So it's really just communicating, it's chatting, it's going back and forth. And why is this important? Because some non-technical founders feel like they have to have an engineering degree, they have to use the right terms to get the results, but it's really just communicating. The way that we're communicating now, the way that you would communicate with a coworker, the way that you would communicate with a colleague, or maybe your boss, or whoever that you're communicating with, that is the same way that you would approach leveraging AI. It's a conversation, it's back and forth, use the terms that come to your mind. Also, the more you leverage it with your own actual voice, it learns you better. So it's just really communicating very directly the way that you would communicate with a coworker, with a colleague, with whomever you have around you. So don't think you have to speak to it in a different way. It's really just direct communication. Now, when people start to think about, what can I delegate? What can I outsource? What can I automate? I like to look at it in basically two different buckets. And so anything that I would comfortably outsource to a VA, so a virtual assistant, that is something that I am comfortable automating and delegating to Claude. And so that could take multiple forms. That could be a skill, which we'll talk about later. That could also be using different connectors, which is one of the most awesome things about Claude, is that you can just connect different softwares in the background. And so for me, I connect Make. I do a lot of automation. So I connect Make, I connect my Gmail. And so anything that I would hire and pay a virtual assistant to do, those are the things that are in the bucket for me to automate and delegate to Claude as my virtual assistant, right? The other bucket is when I'm now looking to hire someone. And so let's say, for instance, I want a strategy to build $1 million business in the next year. Anything that I would hire someone to do, that is also now something that I put in my workflow in terms of leveraging Claude. And so when you're thinking about it, you can use it for such a wide scope of tasks. So what you would delegate to a VA, or what you would hire someone for a strategy. Maybe you're trying to write a book and you would hire someone to help you build out your outline, or you would hire someone to help you with some ideas for redecorating your house, right? So anything that you would hire someone for, this is where you would leverage the higher level value tasks of Claude versus, as I was mentioning before, that simple Google search. So anything that you would delegate to a virtual assistant, that is something that is primed for automation and delegation through Claude's features in terms of connectors, and then even creating specific skills. And then anything that you would hire an expert for, those are typically, for me, those use cases where I do a lot of heavy prompting so that I can get the highest value out of what I'm already paying the tool for. So hope that helps. Next, I just want to talk about this idea of vibe coding and how having access to Claude doesn't make you automatically a developer. And one of the challenges that I see when people are getting started, it's this mindset where, hey, I've created an app, I'm going to go ahead and deploy it to the world. And how I love that AI is very accessible. And so for me, I have a background in engineering, and all throughout my college experience and a lot of my corporate experience, I was the only Black woman in the room multiple times. Especially when it got to those higher level conversations in terms of engineering, auditing, I was one of very few in the room. And so when I think about technology such as AI, it's so accessible. You know, like even my mom, who's 70 years old, is using ChatGPT as a business partner. So that is amazing. At the same time, I do feel the marketing gurus have made the responsibility of development something it's almost like a nice to have. And so as we're moving forward, there is going to be more regulation that is controlling AI, and there are going to be more consequences. And so for this whole boom of vibe coding, and it's like learn AI on Friday and deploy something on Monday, those kind of conversations are going to be very challenging and potentially very harmful, because AI will start to be looked at as your employee, right? And so if you gave your employee the keys to your car and they went and hit someone, and unfortunately maybe someone was harmed or something like that, you as a business owner will be responsible for that. And so traditionally in the developing world, if you were a software engineer or you were developing some type of tool, that responsibility is built in, because that's something that you learn as a developer. You're not just building something for the sake of getting it out into the world. You're also thinking about, where is this going to break down? What is the potential harm? And so when we see things like vibe coding, that whole level of responsibility and accountability has been completely eliminated. But at the end of the day, from a regulatory perspective, you still will be responsible, financially and personally responsible for any tool and the outcome of that tool. And so how I like to approach it in terms of people that are wanting to vibe code, I think it's a great skill to learn, but I think it has to be dealt with in context. And so if you are someone who is looking to vibe code and create something, I think that's amazing. That's awesome. But think about it in the perspective of getting your idea into a live mode for prototyping, right? So if you want to create some kind of workflow for your business, you can vibe code something that you keep in-house. When you're now putting it into the App Store, when you're deploying it for public and wider usage, I would definitely still consult a software development team, some type of legal advice in terms of how is the data being used, for example. Are there going to be privacy issues? So those are the types of things that you want to really have in mind when it goes from a prototype, something that you're using for your business and you are using it by yourself, like something like a custom GPT, versus now putting it out into the world without having that context of if something breaks, if private data is shared accidentally, what are the repercussions for that? And moving forward with regulation, those things are going to be more serious moving forward. So just want to let you know that as you're getting started, don't just vibe code something and then put it out into the world without knowing. You will be responsible for the outcomes of that tool. And people are using kind of the excuse of, oh, I didn't know. That's not going to be a valid excuse. So just want to let you know that as you're getting started. Lastly, I want to just talk about my favorite feature of Claude, which is skills. And so some people use skills in different ways. How I use it is I'm a consultant for small business owners. And so when they come to me, they have one issue that they're dealing with. Typically, it's something where they are building a personal brand. They have all of this visibility, but it's not leading to predictable income. And so that's something that I help them to build out. And so as I built it out for myself, I turned it into a skill. And so I find that to be so valuable because now I've solved a problem for myself that I can then turn into an offer and an opportunity for another business owner, but I don't have to go through the same steps that I went through to get to that solution. And so skills for me is just really a way to document my problem solving approach. And then it's really packaged in a way where I can now tap into that skill for another business owner, or if I'm now creating another business for myself. So that's how I really love to use skills. Other people use it in the sense where maybe they have a repetitive manual process that they're doing. And so they can take one part of a work stream and then they can leverage a skill in that sense. But for me, I really love to solve a problem and then I will package that problem, solve the solution for that into a skill. And then that's just another offer that I can utilize in my business. And so those are just a few quick points to help you get started. I know there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of competing messages that are coming out in terms of how to use Claude, how to Claude Code. There's so much to learn. And so I just really want to help you get from, I know there's this thing called AI that I can utilize to grow my business and just really getting started. I also want you to know, no matter the number of courses and certificates and trainings that you do, the best way to actually learn AI and to leverage it in your business is to just pick a problem that you're currently struggling with in your business and tackle it every single day, leveraging a tool like AI, a tool like Claude, sorry. So just want to help you, get off the starting line and get moving. And so if this has been helpful for you, please go ahead and subscribe to my new channel. I'm very much passionate about helping other small business owners leverage AI so that they can grow their businesses and then also improve their lifestyles. So until the next video, I'll see you later. Thanks so much.